Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Indy's Trusted Servant Show on InspireSmall.biz. What's Indy's Trusted Servant? Well, that's me, Danny O'Malia. I'm Indy's Trusted Servant. I do customer service training and keynote speaking about customer service. It's all about the culture of the organization. I learned all of that at the hand of the master, my late father, Joe O'Malia, back in the O'Malia Food Market days. And also, before that, when I was about 9 and 10 years old, and he owned a little grocery store in Broad Ripple where the Vanguard Bar is on Guilford Avenue, he lost that store, and he came back 10 years later and successfully launched O'Malia Food Markets with 9 grocery stores eventually and 950 employees. And one of the things I learned from my dad, aside from customer service and culture, was never, ever, ever give up. What's the Indy's Trusted Servant Show on InspireSmall.biz? I like to describe it as lively local small biz and community talk where you can feel the pulse of Indy. And today's guest, I'm really pleased to have my youngest daughter, Colleen Stine, as my guest. And she has 2 wonderful small businesses that you're going to want to learn about. One is called CoCo Stine Designs, and one is called Everykind. And it was originally called Mama Said Teas, but I'm going to let her talk about those things. Colleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Would you give everybody your background and where you went to school and what you studied, and a little bit about your family and how you got into these 2 businesses?
Okay, well, I suppose I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit.
Like Grandpa.
Yeah, but I went to the University of Dayton.
Oh, where'd you go before that?
Oh, I'm sorry, like all the way?
All the way through?
Okay, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, K through 8, and Cathedral High School, and then University of Dayton. I know those were tough checks for you to write.
Yes, they were.
But yeah, and I studied communications and public relations there, and I think that definitely all the things I learned at UD in that realm helped equip me for what I would do, but becoming a graphic designer, so to speak, a self-taught graphic designer, was probably predicted earlier on by teachers who more often saw me doodling in my notebook rather than taking notes.
She's a very good drawer, artist, like her grandfather was, like I'm not, right? But before you got into the design, the graphic design stuff, you were in the jewelry business.
I was in the jewelry business.
And then tell them how this all started.
So I was in the jewelry business. I've always loved diamonds since, my first memory of loving diamonds is in 4th grade because my sister Janet got engaged that year, and I became fascinated with the diamond on her finger. And so I wanted to take whatever I learned in college and apply it at a local jewelry store, but it kind of turned more into a sales position. And then, long story short, I worked at another jewelry store in St. Louis. And then after that, I was contacted by Tacori, which was a long-time favorite brand of mine personally that I had previously sold at both stores. To do work for them being a liaison. So I would travel, and that was right after I got married.
Yep.
So I would travel, and I would basically coach employees at other jewelry stores how to sell the brand. And I was so passionate about the brand that it was fairly easy. But really early on in that first couple months of that job, I discovered I was pregnant with our first. And so after I had Ryan, traveling just became.
You were traveling a lot.
I was traveling a lot.
To some really out of the way places.
Yeah. So, and it made coming home to Indy hard, and I was living in St. Louis. So while I was on maternity leave, I took a shot at creating some gifts, some prints for my sisters and some nursery art for baby showers for other friends. And my sisters and my friends were like, you should do this on Etsy because people do this. And I was like, all right. And one thing led to another. And the first year of my Etsy business was by far and away the most success that I've had. It was also the most amount of time that I had on my hands to dedicate to it. But I realized very quickly that anything that I wanted to do, I could learn because it's all out there. You know, everything's out there. And if you have the will and you have, I guess, it in you, then you can kind of do it, whatever it takes. So yeah, started doing imitations and prints, anything at all. And that was a fun first year of that.
Let me interject. One of your first things was you gave both of your sisters a print with dates on it and that each kid was born on.
Yes.
Right? So
Birth dates, wedding date.
Yeah. And at the bottom of the print it said, "What a difference a day makes."
Yeah.
And both of her sisters said, "Oh, you can sell these."
Yes.
And that was a big impetus,
Yeah,
right?
a lot of people were doing date prints, but actually my friend Meg in St. Louis was the one that suggested doing "What a difference a day makes" at the bottom.
Okay.
And the design itself, I'm not sure what happened, but my husband, who knows a lot more about the business side of things than I do, noticed that there were over like 100,000 clicks from Pinterest on the one print. And I got so busy, I hired my sister Shannon, long distance, to handle all of my convos on Etsy and do the PDF orders. So bought a new laptop, she gave her my old one, she learned how to do it, and kind of supplemental income as a teacher.
Show a couple of the prints.
Okay, so today I brought, right now this is the one that sells the most. I have a couple Indiana prints, but this is the Back Home Again in Indiana. This is just a hand lettered doodle on my iPad.
Those are the words to the song.
Yeah, Back Home Again in Indiana. This was my original of that.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
So these ones, especially during April and May, specifically, I get a lot of orders for these. And then I do anything, this one I did, someone asked me to do some colors for a nursery. And I did a couple other states where grandparents lived and things like that.
One of the good stories was one of her clients in West Virginia asked her to do the state of West Virginia with Almost Heaven, West Virginia. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I'm honestly not sure as far as licensing goes and things like that. So there's a lot I can't put out there, but I can create anything as a personalized gift. So a lot of things you're not going to see, but I can do it.
How about giving your contact info, website, email?
Yeah, well, I think that's all going to be posted, but
Go ahead and...
Okay, so I'm CoCo Stine Designs on Etsy, or you can go to etsy.com/shop/CoCo Stine Designs, but Stine is spelled S-T-I-N-E.
Yes, an unusual spelling for Stine.
Indeed, yes.
So that business started in what year?
2011.
2011, okay.
Yep.
So then one of your customers,
my best
customer up near Chicago,
Yep.
Colleen Berkowitz, get into that. This is the other business.
Another thing my husband noticed was that I was getting an excess of orders from one individual human. Her name was Colleen. And so I kind of flagged the name, and the next time that an order came through, it was for nursery art. And with her proof, which I send if it's something that I personalize, I just said, I noticed that you are like the best customer, and we happen to share the same name. And so we started kind of chatting back and forth, and she continued to be a good customer. We exchanged phone numbers, and one thing led to another where this friendship kind of blossomed. I had my daughter Maddie, and she had her son Aiden, one day apart. And so we were just texting, and lo and behold, I randomly asked her, would you buy this if I put a design on a t-shirt? Because I was thinking about doing...
She was already in the t-shirt business?
No.
No, okay.
But I was kind of on my way doing something with someone in St. Louis, and I was having questions, not doubts, but more of just wanting to know, like, would this reach you? What would you think about it? Would you buy it? And she called me and was like, I don't know what you're thinking, but my husband we have access to order and print shirts. She's a dance teacher, but had some time to help, and she's like, we want to go into business together. I was like, yeah.
And that was called Mama Said Tees.
Yes, originally
right?
Mama Said Tees, yes.
And then the family history kind of works its way into this, because no sooner had you launched Mama Said Tees. You want to show a couple of the tees?
Sure. This one I'm wearing specifically. You mentioned that Grandpa, you learned from Grandpa to never give up, and so I wore my Keep Going sweatshirt. This is one of my favorites. Some of our t-shirts are a little bit brighter, but this one is to be more of like a vintage look. So I love it, and it's a good reminder to never give up.
Never give up.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and this one here.
Let me tell about that after you tell about family history, but. This one I love. it says choose. Sorry, I pulled it right out of my drawer. It's obviously very loved. Our logo is the E with the equal sign in the middle for Everykind. And then, so choose, love, peace, Everykind. I love this one just because a lot of what I personally do, and not that I share this on social media for Everykind, but I'm very faith-filled. So that definitely is an inspiration for me to just love everybody and try and teach my kids that and help other people teach their kids that.
Here's a colorful one.
Yeah, this one says hopeful. This one you'll see my sister Janet wearing often.
Yeah.
And as an educator, she loves that one.
Yep.
And then our first two originals, I actually didn't bring Kind is the New Cool, but it was the first one out there. Now there are a lot of them.
This is for Everykind.
For Everykind. Well,
right.
Yeah, when we were Mama Said Tease, you can barely see this, but I love that because it's just subtle. It just says love one another. And then we've got, these are just kind of fun and different. This one says breathe, but only when you look down, just to serve as a reminder. Sometimes, I mean,
it's upside down.
Yeah, so
right.
You look down. It's automated, but sometimes you really need to take a deep breath.
Remember.
And take a pause in order to keep going. And then this one I love. It's one of my favorite designs, and it just says happiness lies in perspective, which you can see if you're looking in a mirror.
Okay.
So it's just all about the way you want to look at things, and that's kind of how we run our business. And
so my favorite sweatshirt / t-shirt design is this one, and the family history gets into this. Soon after Colleen launched Mama Said Tees, her sister Shannon, who she has referred to and who was kind of helping her with the prints, was murdered by her ex-husband, who then committed suicide. And they had 2 sons, 10 and 8, right after you launched.
like less than a week.
Right. And by the way, one of the t-shirts that I've seen the 2 boys in a lot is remember the bro code.
Yeah, long live the bro code.
Long live the bro code. And one of the first things they came up with after that tragedy was this t-shirt and hoodie. Go ahead and show them.
Right after everything happened, I had not even met Colleen in person when we launched this business. So I think about how much easier things are since COVID with meeting long distance and Zooming and all that. Like, we had it down to a T 10 years ago. Well, I guess almost 9. It's been almost 9 years.
Oh, 9 years, yeah.
9 years ago. But this girl I'd never met, she said, we already have these 2 t-shirts out there. I want you to create something that is about your sister. What did you love about your sister? And so I sent her a couple things I loved about my sister, and she sent me a bunch of ideas. And this was actually not the very first design, but it was the second and the longest standing. And it was Let Your Smile Change the World, because she just had a beautiful smile. So yeah, this says Let Your Smile Change the World. And all of the actual profits from this went and go to Connor and Danny to benefit them, which we have to buy 2 cars this weekend.
Yeah.
So
she and her husband kind of have adopted Connor and Danny. Connor will be a sophomore at Purdue.
Just turned 19.
Danny's a junior at Cathedral.
Yep.
Connor was a baseball player. Danny's a lacrosse player. Big game with Carmel tomorrow night. Can't wait.
Go Irish.
Yeah, go Irish. Anyway, my favorite of all, I've got a Kelly green hoodie.
Yes.
With the Let Your Smile Change the World.
Yep.
So you were Mama Said Tease up to a point, but you kind of pivoted a little bit and changed to Everykind. Tell us about how you and Colleen Berkowitz decided to do that and what all that is.
I think the truth behind the reason was legal issues of not being able to obtain rights to Mama Said Tease, which got the conversation going.
Oh, okay.
But as we thought and talked more extensively about it, we decided we were doing all these really neat things and putting campaigns out there and just trying to get good word out. And one of the things that we realized was that when you call something Mama Said Tease, there are a lot of people out there who long to be a mother, who can't be a mother. There are women out there who have lost their mother. And I guess, long story short, we thought maybe it's time for us, since our whole messaging is about love and spreading kindness, maybe we do something a little bit more everybody. And so we brainstormed about that, and that was actually pretty funny.
And what year was that? That was like 2017,
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
So you had been in business together for about 3 years. or thereabouts, right?
3 or 4, I think. Gosh, she would know for sure because she's very good at that. But yeah, it felt like the right time. And you'd never believe it, but it actually happened like 1 week after we decided to switch to Everykind and already got the rights to it. We got the rights for Mama Said Tees.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And people loved that. And people still say, oh, I miss Mama Said Tees. But
it's very lovable, you know.
Yeah, but we're
brand.
a lot more than tees too, because we sell prints of our designs and mugs and blankets and all different kinds of things. So
now,
we're more than tees.
So you've given the contact information for CoCo Stine Designs. Now give us contact information for Everykind.
Super easy, everykind.com. And then on social media at Everykind CoCo.
And I remember the day that they launched, they did a big video over in Fishers.
Yeah.
And one of your friends / customers, you may want to mention her name, did all the filming. Who was that?
Oh, Jennifer Driscoll?
Yeah.
All the photos.
Yeah. And they had...
because Colleen, my best friend, she helped us hire the videographers.
Colleen Lewis,
yeah.
Right? Well, at any rate, they launched it with this video of a Down syndrome, a dwarf, a gay person, all these people that were different, right? And that was the whole impetus. We're all human beings, right? So
yeah.
I still remember watching that video being filmed over there and going, wow, this is something else.
Yeah, I think it kind of got rolling when Danny, who at the time was, I guess, 9, he was really worried about, he wasn't worried before, even though he and Connor are ethnically darker, and so their mom would get comments all the time, my sister, about, gosh, are they yours? Are they adopted? But it never really occurred to him until after the fact of wondering if people would wonder if he was adopted. And he said he felt different, and I just didn't want him to feel alone. And I
didn't even realize that.
Yeah. And Colleen was like, well, I don't want anybody to feel that way. And I was like, well, I don't either. So we were just thinking about all the people who might feel different or might go through struggles. And we got an awesome group of people together for that.
It was very cool. Is that video still available?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it on the website?
It's on YouTube, but yeah, you can also find it on the website.
Okay.
And it's Let's Redefine Normal.
Let's Redefine Normal. And that was about 2017 when you launched Everykind, right?
Well, actually, I think we were still
Everykind.
Mama Said Tees when we did the Let's Redefine Normal video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you were in the process of kind of rebranding.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So how many customers would you say you have in Mama Said Tees, and how many in Everykind?
Oh,
would you
Dad,
say?
you should have told me I needed those numbers. Because
Well, just give me a wild guess.
Well, okay. On Etsy, I don't know about repeat customers, but I've had about 11,500 sales over the course of all those years. And then with Everykind,
That's the CoCo Stine Designs
on Etsy.
Yeah, okay.
And then, 20,000 addresses
Okay.
that have been
on
shipped
Everykind.
by Colleen Berkowitz, because she does all the hard work,
All the shipping.
all the shipping and all
You're
that.
the creative person. She's the business person. Is
Well,
that
she's
it?
also pretty creative. She just is smarter, so she gets to do all the hard stuff.
and you guys get together a couple times a year.
We try to.
Try to. Yeah. Now, so let's talk about your family a little bit and the whole thing with what happened in our family. So Connor and Danny are the older kids that were Shannon's kids. You have 3 kids of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan is 11 and Maddie is 9 and baby Shannon is 7. Tell our viewers the story of how you named baby Shannon.
Well,
The other 2 kids had been born before the tragedy. Maddie was just a baby.
yes. We discovered that we were pregnant about 2 months after we took the boys, and decided for my dad to not find out the sex of the baby, because thus far he never wanted to know.
I never wanted to know.
And somehow he would find out at a baseball game. Danny, I hear you're having a grandson, or, oh, finally a granddaughter.
Yep.
And so I wanted to give that to him. And I also thought, how blessed are we that we get to welcome another member into this family and sort of bring us all together. it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, boy, girl, whatever. And so we were talking about names for both, and Danny,
the little guy,
the little of the two, said, if it's a girl, why don't we name her Shannon? And that was a tough one to swallow. And I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and I talked to my mom, and I don't know that I don't know.
You did not tell me. That was
yeah,
a
that was
surprise.
a surprise. But I knew that it might be hard. It was hard for me to imagine calling a child Shannon if it was a girl, but also talked to the counselors at Prevail about it. And if it was Danny's idea, they thought it might be a really, really healing thing. And yeah, they were right. It was a good idea.
And you also said to Danny when he brought it up, well, what does Connor think? I already talked to him. He loves the idea.
Yeah, they kind of talked about it. Yeah.
So she's they're all, of course, really special. But she's really special.
She is really special. She's very joy-filled, and yeah, she's making us proud.
Tell a little bit about what your husband, and I have to talk about my husband, my son-in-law, Doug. He's from St. Louis, and when they got married, they lived in St. Louis. He was with Edward Jones, and they were headquartered in St. Louis. And he agreed to move to Indianapolis and take the boys like that. And he's just been fantastic. What does he do?
Well, I don't really know day to day. But he's a financial advisor, and he's very good at it, and I'm very proud of him. It's a little outside of his comfort zone, but he's been doing that job after being an equity analyst and doing research for Edward Jones. He stepped outside the box, and yeah.
And this is a great corporate story we'll share with you as we begin to run down the time here. He had been with Edward Jones before they got married as an analyst, research guy there at their headquarters. They got a hold of him when they found out he was moving to Indianapolis and why, and they said, you can do that job from Indianapolis. We'd like you to stay. Well, that was a wonderful thing for a big corporation to do. When he got here, a couple of things happened. First of all, the little kids, Ryan and Maddie, thought Daddy was home.
Right.
And drove him crazy. He had all these deadlines. He was having trouble. Secondly, he started getting offers from our friends at Our Lady of Mount Carmel and St. Louis de Montfort to come to work for their financial firms. And he took one of the jobs, and that's the job he has now, Royal Bank of Canada, Stan Chrissy. And he does analysis, but he also sells. But I just thought that was a wonderful story about not only Edward Jones, but about our friends in the two parishes coming to come and offering him
you're
jobs.
You're a client. Is he good at it?
Pardon?
Is he good at what he does?
Who, Doug?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a client of Doug's. Yeah, he's good at what he does.
I mean, yeah.
Got the big annual update meeting coming up in the next couple of months. He's very, very good. And I just have to say, you know, I didn't have a lot of luck with the son-in-law that killed my daughter, but I certainly had a lot of luck having Doug as a son-in-law. So before we sign off, give everybody the contact information for CoCo Stine Designs and Everykind again.
Okay, so CoCo Stine Designs on Etsy, etsy.com/CoCo Stine Designs, or
Stine is S-T-I-N-E.
Or everykind.com or everykind.shop if you want to go straight to the shop.
Okay, my daughter Colleen Stine, thanks for being my guest today.
Thanks, Dad.
Next week, my friend L.K. Shinneman, who is raising money for two organizations that I love, the Women's Care Center and the O'Connor House, and another organization I don't know much about, but I'm going to learn about it. She mentioned being faith-filled. We're very faith-filled. We're very pro-life. I had a Down syndrome sister-in-law who was a big part of everybody's life. So tune in next week for L.K. Shinneman and raising money for wonderful pro-life and Christian organizations. God bless everybody. See you next week.